Members can leave the chamber as quickly and as quietly as possible. The Leader of the Australian Greens is seeking the call.
Thank you, Speaker. I seek the call on two matters. The first is I seek to make a personal explanation.
Do you claim to be misrepresented?
Yes, Speaker.
You may proceed.
By the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition earlier in question time. This Prime Minister is so desperate to detract and distract from Labor's complicity and backing of the invasion that is taking place at the moment. They will come in here and make spurious allegations against Greens members of Parliament that need to be corrected.
The Leader of the Australian Greens will just pause. The member for Fisher knows better than that. Members on my right, I can barely hear a word that is being said. So if anyone interjects on my right during this period, they'll be ejected immediately. I want to hear from the Deputy Manager of Opposition Business, Deputy Leader of the House.
Thank you, Speaker. The standing orders and practice in relation to personal explanations are clear. The member needs to explain where he has been misrepresented, and he immediately launched into an attack on the Prime Minister. I ask that he be brought back to pointing out where he has been misrepresented.
So I'll just allow the Leader to continue. Order, so he can explain to the House where he was misrepresented and how he was misrepresented, not whether he liked being represented or not. I hope that's clear. So the Leader of the Australian Greens has the call.
In a desperate attempt to distract from Labor's backing of the invasion of Gaza, the Prime Minister made a number of representations.
Yep. Order. Members on my right. The member for Canberra will leave the chamber under 94A. There are to be no more interjections. So
made a number of.
You need to explain exactly where.
Misrepresentations about myself and Greens MPs in this parliament that need to be corrected. Now, we have been crystal clear in making it clear that the Greens, as a party of peace and non-violence, support protest that is peaceful,
Order.
And we have made it crystal clear, including on the record, that that should be the case. But instead,
the Attorney-General will leave the chamber under 94A.
And instead,
no one is to interject while I'm hearing this.
The Prime Minister, backed up by the Leader of the Opposition, came in here and made wide-ranging sprays, attempting to connect peaceful protests of people who are seeking to make their views heard about Labor's complicity with this genocide, with actions of people, including here in this place. Now, let us be absolutely crystal clear.
I'll deal with the member for Wannon, and then I shall deal with the member for Griffith. Order. Just the member for Wannon. I'll hear immediately the member for Griffith.
A member of the Labor Party there, I'm not actually sure of his title, made a reflection on the Leader of the Australian Greens, and I'd like him to come back in and withdraw.
Order. I didn't hear. Order. Members on my left. Well, I shall deal with the member Solomon separately with this issue. I didn't hear what was said, so I can't take action on that matter. Member for Wannon on a point of order.
Speaker, a point of order. The Leader of the Greens has been asked to go to where he has been misrepresented, and he is not going there, and he continues to defy your ruling that he should. And I think the House is not being advanced by the Leader of the Greens' conduct.
I'm going to give the Leader of the Greens one more chance to explain exactly where he's being misrepresented.
Speaker, I've made it clear that the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition made a number of severe and direct misrepresentations about actions that are taking place outside this place, when we have been crystal clear on the record about our approach to how people should exercise protest, and instead a number of severe misrepresentations were made. Why? Because they are attempting to distract from their complicity. And that is why I seek to move the following order. I move that so much of standing and sessional orders be suspended as would prevent the member for Melbourne moving the following motion: that this House, 1, notes that the State of Israel has signed a $3 billion contract with the United States for a further 25 F-35 fighter aircraft. B, Australia plays a significant role in the F-35 fighter aircraft global supply chain with a range of components manufactured here in Australia, including the sole manufacturing of F-35 fighter aircraft's uplock actuator system, which allows the F-35 to drop its payload. And C, the F-35 fighter aircraft are being used to bomb the people of Gaza. And 2, calls on the government to immediately end all direct and indirect trade of military equipment with the State of Israel, including the provision of critical components of the F-35 fighter jet supply chain. Now, it is critical, Mr Speaker, that we debate this motion now, because Labor is attempting to do anything to distract from their complicity in the unfolding genocide.
Resume your seat. Order. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. The member for Riverina, the Deputy Leader of the House.
Mr Speaker, the member had the right to issue a personal explanation, so I now move that he no longer be heard.
The question is the member no longer be heard. I'll put the question. Those opinion say aye. Aye. Against no. I think the ayes have it. Noes have it. Division required. Ring the bells for 4 minutes. Order. Order. The leader of the Australian Greens is going to cease interjecting. Order. The leader of the Australian Greens is now warned. And members on my right will remain silent during the division. Members on my right. Lock the doors. The question is that the Leader of the Australian Greens no longer be heard. The ayes will pass to the right of the chair and the noes to the left. I appoint the honourable members for Bean and Gray as tellers for the ayes, and the honourable members for Brisbane and Ryan as tellers for the noes. Okay. Order. The result of the division is ayes 92, noes 5. The matter was resolved in the affirmative. Give the call to the honourable member for Griffith.
Seconded, Speaker. This government is engaging in arms trade with the State of Israel as it carries out a genocide in Gaza.
Resume.
Now, this government needs to...
Member, resume your seat. Order. Member, the member shall resume his seat. The Deputy Leader of the House.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Again, I say the Leader of the Greens had the opportunity for a personal explanation, so I now move that the member no longer be heard.
The question is the member no longer be heard. I'll put the question. Those opinion say aye. Against no. I think the ayes have it. No subdivision required. Ring the bells for 1 minute. Order. Restate the question that the member no longer be heard, and I'll ring the bells for 4 minutes. Order. The member for Griffith and the Minister for Pacific Island Affairs are going to cease their conversation. Order. Order. The member for Griffith's just going to cool it. The member for Griffith is now warned. So anyone sitting in that corner can also show restraint as well. The Leader of the Australian Greens.
Just on a point of order, the Minister made an unparliamentary remark, and I ask you to ask him to withdraw.
The Minister isn't sitting in his correct seat, so that's highly disorderly if he was interjecting during a division. To assist the House, I'll just ask him to withdraw. I don't know what was said. I didn't hear it.
It's the House. I withdraw.
I thank the Minister. And if the member for Solomon is here, I shall deal with him later. lock the doors. The question before the House is that the member no longer be heard. The ayes will pass to the right of the chair and the noes to the left. Appoint the honourable members for Bean and Gray as tellers for the ayes, and the honourable members for Ryan and Brisbane as tellers for the noes. Order. The result of the division is ayes 83, noes 6. The matter is resolved in the affirmative. Members can resume their seat as quickly, as quietly as possible. The question is the motion be agreed to. Give the call to the Leader of the House.
Mr Speaker, the days of these wedge motions being put to the parliament and going to a vote end now. The harm that has been done is beyond belief. To be telling people when there is a government calling for ceasefire that somehow it is calling for conflict is deliberate misinformation. And I don't see why misinformation coming from the left is somehow noble when misinformation coming from the right is so wrong. People in our electorates genuinely have real fear of what is happening. For them it is not a political game. And can I just put this one point? When the resolution was put on a suspension of standing orders from the Green Party last time, it was a procedural motion.
That's right.
The question of recognition was never before this parliament. And yet the Greens chose to message something to Australia and to the world that was inaccurate. And they got headlines around the world that hurt the Palestinian cause but helped the Greens harvest votes. What sort of party on an issue like that makes a decision to harvest their own votes. I move the debate be adjourned.
The question is the debate be adjourned. I'll put the question. Those opinions say aye. Aye. Against no. I think the ayes have it. Noes have a division required. Ring the bells for 4 minutes. Lock the doors. As there are fewer than 5 members on the side for the noes in this division, I declare the question resolved in the affirmative in accordance with Standing Order 127. The names of those members who are in the minority will be recorded in the votes and proceedings. Members can leave the chamber as quickly and as quietly. The member for, before I deal with the member for McKellar, and I'll give her the call, I'm just going to ask to assist the House the member for Solomon to withdraw. Just ensure that the microphone is on. I call the member for Solomon.
Happy to withdraw, Speaker.
Thank the member for Solomon. And I call the member for McKellar.
Warringah, Mr. Speaker.
Warringah. My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like a clarification in relation to events that have occurred just now and during question time in terms of procedure when it comes to indulgence. The observation was that in response to a question from the member from McKellar, the Prime Minister exceeded the allocated 3 minutes of time for answer and proceeded to continue. I was not aware that any indulgence was sought at that time to continue beyond the allocated period of time. And the concern that I have, and I wish to seek clarification, is if indulgence is used to essentially mount a criticism or attack of members of this place or the other place, and it is then open on indulgence for the Leader of the Opposition to join in that, I'm concerned that that means indulgence is now used as a precedent for a criticism or attack of members of parliament in circumstances where there is limited opportunity to reply, and I don't understand that that's the accepted and convention on how indulgence has been exercised to date. I would also, sorry, Mr. Speaker, a clarification in respect to procedure when personal explanation is sought to be made, that my understanding personal explanation is simply to correct a mischaracterisation of a person or a member and their position, and again the way in which that should be used, because I'm concerned that was also abused in this situation.
Okay. I thank the member for Warringah for raising that, and I just want to advise the House, and particularly the member for Warringah who's raised a valid point regarding practice on pages 498, 499 and 500 on the issue of indulgence and how indulgence is granted and given by the Speaker. I won't list all of the reasons and mechanisms of how indulgence is made, but I will quote to the House that the Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition to make statements in relation to natural or other disasters in tribute to deceased persons or to speak to matters on significance. When the Prime Minister makes a statement by indulgence on an issue or during question time, when the Speaker decides to grant indulgence, normally to the Leader of the Opposition, is also commonly granted indulgence to speak on the same matter. On occasion, indulgence may be extended to a series of members. For example, after a member has made a statement to the House announcing a significant issue, or, as we've had in examples during my term as Speaker, on national significance, on major issues or natural disasters. In the event that the indulgence is granted, the simplest way to understand it is that it's by convention of the House over a long period of time that everyone's agreeing on the same topic. Now, I will reflect on what the member has said in regarding to how indulgence is granted. On the issue, on the second issue, regarding personal explanations, that has been a long practice to enable someone to correct the record, and it's normally done straight after question time, where someone has indicated what the Speaker or individual has said is not correct, perhaps by the use of a newspaper article or another online source, to then correct the record of what was said about the member. For further clarification, the member for Warringah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just noting your comments that you will consider further the points raised, could I just ask for clarification in respect to, in the listed instances where indulgence can be granted, I am concerned whether if that is going to extend to an opportunity to mount a criticism or attack of members of parliament in this place or that place, because that does not appear in the listed circumstances where indulgence is traditionally granted, and I think opens a dangerous precedent.
Order. I thank the member for Warringah. The Leader of the Australian Greens on a further point of clarification.
On a further point of clarification, Speaker, just on that matter, which I understand that you have said that you will consider two matters. One is that I ask you to consider whether the Leader of the Opposition's speech was actually simply an agreement with what the Prime Minister said, or in fact extended to other matters beyond what the Prime Minister had raised. And secondly, if that is the case, to consider whether it is appropriate in circumstances where speeches turn into wide-ranging political debates and political attacks, whether there is in fact any requirement in, because it is not apparent to me from practice, that indulgence is only ever granted when there is agreement. It is clear that indulgence, as I read practice, that indulgence can be granted on significant matters and can be granted to other members. And in that instance, Speaker, I ask you to reflect about whether there is in fact a requirement that you can only speak on indulgence if there is agreement, and especially consider the Leader of the Opposition's speech in that. And in a parliament where there is wide-ranging representation from parties and independents other than the opposition and the government, whether it is appropriate for indulgence to be used only for two parties, that opposition and a government, to attack others, and then for those others not to be able to participate in the debate.
Just on that point, well, in other cases where indulgence has been granted, and that's normally with the death of a member, the indulgence is then referred to the Federation Chamber, so there are other opportunities. I understand the issues that have been raised by members. I appreciate the sensitive nature of today's question time, and I'll reflect on the matter. We shall now move to the matter of public importance. I have received a letter from the honourable member for Hume proposing that a definite matter of public importance be submitted to the House for discussion, namely the government's incompetence and mismanagement hurting Australian families. I call upon those honourable members who approve of the proposed discussion to rise in their places and give the call to the honourable member for Hume.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I don't think the Assistant Treasurer has ever been so enthusiastic to hear from me after that diatribe.